Hello adventurers! My name is Diogo Guerra and this is OFFroad-OFFcourse. Today I will be riding the 450 MT off-road here in the woods and talk about the suspension. And if you don't know anything about suspension adjustment, if you don't know what it means preload, rebound, compression, then please, for your own sake, check out my tutorial videos. It's 3 videos, 6 minutes each, and it will teach you everything you will need to know about this suspension lingo. I'm not an expert, but I can explain these things in a way that people understand them, so please check it out. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Let's go. So, the first thing you need to understand about the 450 MT, the suspension, is that it has a lot of potential. The suspension is very good. But, like my friend João Silva said the other day, this suspension feels like a short blanket. And what he meant is that, when you cover your feet, you will uncover your head, and when you cover your head, you will uncover your feet. This suspension will feel very good for some things. You can adjust it for some things, but then it will be lacking on other things. So if it's very good on rocks, it's not going to be very good on sand. Or if it's very comfortable, then it's not going to be very good at high speeds, and so on and so on. Which is what you get on any suspension. But on this one, it feels like the threshold, it's a bit smaller. So that means that more than ever, more than on any other bike, you really have to adjust the suspensions to yourself. Let me give you a quick tutorial on how to adjust this. So with a 14 spanner, you can increase the preload by turning this thing clockwise or anti-clockwise. Don't forget to do the left side and also the right side. And then with a flathead screwdriver, you can rotate this thing inside. Left fork is tension or rebound, and on the right side it's compression. The shock, you have the spring preload here by rotating these things, and you can use the provided tool on the motorcycle toolkit, and then underneath you have the rebound damping. And in my case, what made a huge difference was to set the preload, to make sure that the sag was right. So the front suspension was too stiff, so I had to loosen the preload to meet my weight, and the rear shock was too loose, and I had to tighten the preload, to increase the preload. There's one thing I have not been able to do with this motorcycle, which is to make it plush. I mean, especially at low speeds. This thing is plush at high speed. Whenever I hit the hole, whenever I hit the jump, whenever I have to kind of deal with something hard at high speed, this suspension never disappoints. I never felt this thing bottoming out. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. But it has been hard to make this bike feel comfortable at low speeds. Like whenever I'm riding around, let's say at 30 or something, and when I hit these smaller holes, like the bike just feels unbalanced. It feels too reactive. Yeah, you see this, and I wish I could make this bike softer when I'm riding slow, when I'm hitting like these rocks and these holes that I don't care about them. I shouldn't feel them. I'm used to that. On motorcycles with even better suspension, you can usually tune things in order to have a good high-speed performance, but still be able to cope with these, let's try this route, to cope with these like smaller things at lower speeds comfortably. And on this one, like it's always reacting a lot. It's also always like and I've played with the rebound, with the compression, and I didn't find a solution. Maybe there is no solution, but one thing is for sure, like this bike rewards riding faster. This bike rewards being active. It's much more comfortable, and it makes much more sense when it's flying over stuff than when it's just strolling around. Beautiful. I love the way this bike lands. It's plush, like it feels plush when it's riding fast. And so this is good news for the fast riders, for the good riders, but it's a bit of a bad news for the novice riders. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not recommending. This is sand, by the way. Um, speed, 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 speed solves everything. Oh. Oh, I wish I knew what was behind each of these jumps so I could be a bit more reckless. One thing worth mentioning is that when I first got this bike, the suspensions felt really, really stiff. And not just because they were not adjusted, they were stiff because they were brand new. And I think that's something most people forget when they are test riding new motorcycles, is that the suspensions usually feel like crap for a couple of days until they break in. Okay, so this is the kind of terrain that usually people don't like to do on a heavy bike. I don't think this bike is particularly bad dealing with this kind of terrain. Like very slow speed, very hardcore stuff. It's actually not where the bike is bad. The bike is bad at 30 km per hour or something on potholes and simple things like that. Like here, maybe. I mean, I've had better, but I've definitely had worse. I almost crashed there, but I believed the bike. Yeah, like, and this is the same setup, suspension setup that I just used on those jumps and fast riding. So, I mean, I hit the bash plate. Yeah, could be worse. But this is supposed to be a beginner's bike, and a lot of people have been asking me if I recommend this bike for them to be their first off-road bike or even their first bike, period. And I mean, I would like to say yes, because it's a kind of small adventure bike, but adventure bikes in general are not beginner's bikes. Forget about that. They are tall, they are heavy, and this is a small adventure bike, but it's still an adventure bike. And you have to deal with things, not only because of the suspension, but because of the weight. Like, these bikes need speed. You need to turn the weight to your advantage. So when you ride fast, the bike has momentum, and when it fights the ground, it wins. But if you go slow, then you are giving the chance for the ground, the terrain, to win this fight that it's always happening off-road. And on a heavy bike, when the ground wins, the bike goes out of the road or whatever, you cannot control it anymore, especially if you don't know what you are doing. Like, your feet on the ground, trying to pedal, whatever, it's not going to work because the bike weighs a ton.
Alright guys, so long story short, I feel that the suspension on the 450 MT is perhaps a bit too stiff for slow riders and people that are starting to learn how to ride off-road. It's not gonna feel super plush, super comfortable, and I think the problem is the rear shock. I feel a lot of control adjusting the front. Whatever I do on the clickers, I can feel a direct feedback. But the rear shock, whatever I do, it's always a bit hard to understand. If I had to change anything on this bike, would be the rear shock because of this reason. And a little note about this. So right now I have reasons to believe that the rebound damping adjustment on the shock, it's also controlling the compression. It's not supposed to, but whenever I click it and I play with it, I feel way more change on the compression of the rear shock than on the rebound. It's just something that I feel it's happening. That's the reason why right now my rebound damping setup, it's zero. It's 0 turns, it's completely open. Not because I don't want rebound damping, but because I feel that the compression damping also went down. And because I'm trying to make the bike feel soft, then low compression is the way to go. Most times. Alright guys, and now I'm done. Thank you for watching. I don't know what my next video is going to be about. Maybe the traction control and the ABS, if they work well or not. I have been measuring, weighting the weight of all the parts that are coming in and out. I already have a few. Stay in touch. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, to subscribe, to hit the thingy and to share. See you next week and happy rides.